Can you give us an example of a real life example of great or poor customer service?
Previously, we mentioned 2 plane builders, plane manufacturing companies. Now I want to talk about 2 airlines. Okay, let's take United. The fantastic example that I want to mention is United broke my guitar. I don't know if you heard about it. Look it up on the internet. It's an interesting one. A passenger sat in a plane. He was an artist. A passenger sat in a plane and he saw on the tarmac people manhandling his guitar, and they actually threw it in the plane, blah, blah, blah. So he gets his luggage back, gets the guitar back. The guitar is broken. Then starts the very complicated process to talk to United. They said, no, it didn't happen. Not our fault. It's your fault. We didn't check the guitar, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so the guy wrote a song about it. It went viral on the social media. A couple of days later, and I'm talking days, United lost 5% of market value on the stock exchange because so many people reacted negatively to this. And it's called a song. It's called United Broke My Guitar. Now, if you look at the mission statement of United, they connect people, they connect the world. Something like that. Look it up again on the internet. It's public. Mission statements are public. It's one of the companies that I researched for my book, and I looked at, is the customer mentioned? It's not. Now, it's complicated because the people from the tarmac are probably not United people, all of that. But again, United broke my guitar. They lost 5% stock value in a couple of days. Woof. Tell that to the board, right? Now, as opposed to that, Southwest Airlines. Now, Southwest, if you look at their mission statement, it's very clear. Their purpose is for the customer. And if you look at where is Southwest today, look at 2024, the New York Times, all sorts of Condé Nast, all sorts of publications where they rank Southwest today. They rank them amongst the best. They're not the most expensive company, okay, but they're in customer service. They rank them above the best. Why? Because somebody wrote it, or at least collectively the company wrote it in their mission statement, and they live by their mission statement. And today the result of that is that people feel connection to the way this thing is done in Southwest. They feel they're very good with their people also. They're very, very good at how they, how employees feel. They like Richard Branson. They turned around the triangle. They said people first, customers then, and happy owners afterwards. But it's a typical example of, good service, bad service. It's the simple things. People, you can read it on the internet. You can read it in some publications or the reviews from Saudi. They actually said happy birthday when I showed up at check-in. But you have it on your computer because it says so. When you do your booking, you have to give in your birth details. Now, I'm pretty sure that nobody will do this at Ryanair. And it's the small things, but it's embedded in the company. Whereas the other, we connect the world. Okay, good for you. But, that's what you do. You connect the world. Southwest is caring for the customer. So for me, and like I did this research. I looked at 30, 40 of the biggest companies in the world, where they're Airbus, Boeing, Meta, Google, but Apple, etc. And you look at what company actually explicitly mentions the customer in the mission statement or the company values, and then you look at how it's perceived by the market. And there is a correlation. So and when you look at the initial numbers that we mentioned, $13.7 trillion per year. And it actually doubled since COVID. It's doubled year on year, and it's going to continue to grow. Soon, those numbers will match the American deficit.
Jochen, do you have one?
Yeah. Well, I would like to take the bank sector because I lived mandates and the positive part and also the negative part. So 2 banks in different countries in Europe. I'm not going to mention the names. So on the negative part, there was a bank which we had to visit to see how staff were doing. They had staffing problems. In that particular branch, for example, a member was already 2 months absent. Another was that week ill. Another one had this last week, and it was very difficult for the bank manager to recruit people. So yeah, we made an analysis of all of the culture, etc. Also on a corporate level, we also visited other branches to understand a bit. Well, it turned out that there was a bank that really operated from ivory towers, meaning like decisions came top down, putting more administrative workload on the employees, which they really didn't like, which was very harsh also for them to deal with, suddenly increasing their workload immensely. Also, the setting of that particular branch was very uninspired, just plain white walls, no privacy. If a customer wanted a drink, it's from the tap, here is your water. There was just no care at all for how this branch is operating as such. And well, it resulted also in this absence of employees who were often absent for all kinds of reasons we don't know. Sick leave, they say, but yeah. Also, in terms of success, well, this was not most successful with not so many customers, despite this was in a major city. Yeah, we just saw that the business model was not really working. And on the other hand, you had then this example, a live example, in another country, other bank. There was in a village, I think they had over 30,000 customers, which was quite big for a village. They have a fantastic interior. You know, it was not top down, the ivory tower, but it was rather like the bank manager engaging with the staff, how we set a procedure to make our guests happy. And that shows for me like the two opposites, you know, how you can do it or how maybe you should do it. And yeah, it's just a dynamic when you come there as a consultant or an external, you immediately sense it, like how am I here treated? How does the clerk respond to me? It's just so human to feel this in a slight of second, like, you know, am I here in a well atmosphere? Do I want my mortgage be here or rather at that bank? You know, it's also a matter of professionalism. So yeah, I think this taking care of the employee, taking care of the customer, bringing a great experience, it's an example of two opposites in the bank sector that I lived.
And shows that it can be different.
Yeah, totally, absolutely.
Some real world examples from hospitality and beyond.
Well, let me mention a group in Europe. It was a digital medical imagery group. Still is. Right? They've become the biggest in Europe, and they asked us to look at their hospitality side of things, not the medical side of things. And in fact, we did test visit a number of their locations because they're all over, and some of the locations are state medical, and some of the locations are private. Big difference because, you know, you cannot, if it's state medical, the funding is not the same as private, so you cannot offer the same services, and state medical, you don't have a choice, whereas private, you have a choice. But still, we came and we saw a number of things, and we looked at the whole customer journey. We looked at, you know, the initial telephone contact. We looked at confirmation emails. We looked at how does it look like when you are a patient, but you enter one of their centers. And then, you know, one of the things that I remember is you had this very nice person doing the hosting, and she was hidden behind a computer. Couldn't see her. Now, it's a small effort to lower the screen or to put the screen in a different position so that you don't hide behind it. It's you know, when you conceptualize a reception desk in any reception, you can hide the staff or you cannot hide the staff, you know. So that was one thing. The other thing is we went through a number of procedures, and then we gave our customer feedback as total idiots that had, you know, didn't have the feeling of the digital imagery. And I, for example, took a ultrasound. And it started, and I think a lot of people can relate to this, is it started with they put gel on you. Too much gel, cold, okay, and then they give you one tissue to wipe it off, it's your problem. And I can, my wife had, we had 2 kids, same experience. And it can be different. And it's those little things. And it was, how is the waiting room when you wait for a scan, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And how's the communication? So we worked on the whole cycle with them about, not only the emails coming, but also a little email afterwards, thank you for having visited us. And I hope you were satisfied, which is one thing, but, this is the follow-up. A lot of companies don't do the follow-up, or the next step. People like this, So we worked a lot on them, and they are reporting back to us and say, okay, not only have we not lost our number 1 spot, but we have improved our private centers clientele in select areas by a significant number because we are making the difference. The way we are doing things is different than the way other people are doing things. So therefore, people prefer to come to us because we treat them nicer. The gel, to give you one example, a baby warmer to put a baby bottle in, what is that today, 30 euros? Not even. If you put that in the morning, you have some good temperature gel when you want it, right? So, and instead of giving 2 tissues or 1 tissue, you give them a box of tissues, or if there's a nurse, you help yourself, etc. So little things, again, not we didn't change the medical, but we did change the experience from a customer point of view. And they reported back to us saying, okay, we are seeing a difference. And that's, and seeing a difference for them was more revenue, more profit, more repeat customers.
Jochen, what practical takeaways can SMEs or distribution companies apply tomorrow?
So, for me, the takeaway is what we discussed today, to summarize a bit, the outside in instead of the inside out, the culture of the organization, bottom up, include employees, the empathy that we mentioned also, and a bigger word in the communication and thinking ahead, being proactive, anticipate on what might go wrong. So that's a learning. We heard also about, the client first, and that's also to measure this. I think that's also something that can be implemented on a smaller scale. Client success, to make it a topic as an organization, regardless the size. For the employees, being hospitable, because hospitality is make people feel well, like entertaining, make the experience great. So those are some learnings that could also apply to smaller organizations.
And it's not about the big things always, Sometimes it requires profound changes because it could be that it's some things are really wrong, but it's also about looking at the smaller things. With just a smile, you make a big difference. And I'm not here to tell people how to smile, but I'm saying it's not always about being afraid, to talk about the subject because it's going to be no. With small changes, you will already see big differences, but it requires attention. And what is a little bit complicated for small organizations is that they have a work to do, they have a job to do, and they're working every day. So the attention is needed, and that you cannot. Once you start in that direction, once you start the process, if you stop, you go back. So that the attention is needed over the long run, and that's certainly where we can help. Is that if you give this to somebody else, and this is not something you cannot do, but if you give this to somebody to help you also, to support you, it will allow you to keep focus, to keep attention, and it will allow you to keep it on the long run. No.
Okay. Maybe another example, or if you go into a bar now, 50 years ago, you went in for a coffee. You had a coffee, and that was it. You paid for it. Now, you pay for the experience. The coffee is still the same, but the coffee is 3.20 euros. Back then, it was 25 cents, 30 cents. But it's the whole experience, and that's where we come in with the hospitality.
Yeah. And coming back to Starbucks, I mean, Starbucks, they sell coffees. Okay, most of the Starbucks, they have a room. You just sit there. You can actually just sit there. Now they tried to change the model a couple of years ago. They wanted more profit, so they told people you cannot longer. No, you have to buy and then you can sit. And now they're changing it again because it worked then, and by telling people you don't have to is different than, you have to buy a coffee. So people say, oh, well, I'm not going to Starbucks anymore because I can sit there. Oh, I'm thirsty. I'll buy something. And you saw people doing their exams or preparing meetings, etc., for hours on end, and they consumed. But the purpose was different. They make you feel welcome.
You sell more as the coffee, as you've the experience. It's the shelter, it's the Wi-Fi,
the music.
It's the music. It's sitting around the table with friends. So it's more as the coffee. Yeah.